The False Alliance. Commander Elise Vega stood at the viewport of Orbital Station Delta, her reflection ghosting against the backdrop of stars. Beyond her translucent image hung the massive form of what the Araxians had called a stellar defender, a warship nearly 2 kilometers long with what should have been enough firepower to defend an entire star system. Should have been. "Commander, the final analysis is complete," said Lieutenant Quan, his tablet displaying a 3-dimensional schematic of the alien vessel. "It's the same as the others. Weapons systems have been gutted. Propulsion is functioning at maybe 30% capacity. The quantum communications array is missing key components." Vega didn't turn from the viewport. This was the 7th ship they'd received from the Araxian Conclave, and the 7th that had been deliberately sabotaged. When humanity had made first contact with the insectoid Araxians 6 months ago, their representatives had seemed so generous, so helpful. "We recognize that your species has only recently achieved faster-than-light travel," Ambassador Chitrik had said, his mandibles clicking between translated words. "The universe is vast and dangerous. Allow us to provide protection while your civilization adapts." The price had been steep: exclusive mining rights to Jupiter's moons, access to human genetic data, and Earth's artistic and cultural treasures. But for a fleet of 20 advanced warships, the United Earth Council had deemed it worthwhile. "How kind they were," Vega said, her voice low and bitter, "to sell us their garbage." "Do we inform the Council?" Quan asked. "No, not yet." Vega finally turned from the viewport. "Let's talk to Dr. Sharma first." The Applied Xenotechnology Lab was a labyrinth of equipment and holographic displays. Dr. Anya Sharma moved through it like a conductor before an orchestra, directing her team with precise instructions and occasional outbursts of enthusiasm. "Magnificent," she said as Vega entered. The scientist wasn't referring to the commander's arrival, but to the dismantled alien power core floating in containment before her. "Simply magnificent." "It doesn't work," Vega pointed out. "Oh, but it would if they hadn't removed these regulators," Sharma countered, highlighting several empty connection points in the schematic. "It's brilliant sabotage. Nothing looks damaged. Parts are simply missing or replaced with inferior versions." Quan glanced at the schematics. "Can we repair them?" Sharma laughed. "Repair? Lieutenant, that suggests we would restore them to their original state." Her eyes gleamed. "What we're doing is much more interesting. We're not just fixing them, we're improving them." Vega raised an eyebrow. "Improving alien tech we barely understand." "That's the fascinating part, Commander. The Araxians didn't expect us to even identify what was missing, let alone understand the underlying principles. But they made a critical error." Sharma gestured to her team of scientists and engineers. "They underestimated human curiosity." She led them to a sealed chamber where a smaller version of the alien power core hummed with energy, its center glowing with a pale blue light. "This is our prototype. Based on the intact components from the Araxian ships and our own understanding of quantum field manipulation, we've created a hybrid. It's outputting almost twice the energy the original Araxian design was capable of." Vega stared at the device. "How is that possible?" "The Araxians built artificial bottlenecks into their systems, intentional inefficiencies. We removed them." Sharma looked proud. "We didn't just fix what they broke. We broke what they fixed." "How soon can we implement this across the fleet?" 6 months for the first ship, less for each subsequent vessel as we refine our techniques." Vega nodded slowly. "Good, because I don't think we have much time." "Sir?" Quan questioned. "The Araxians gave us 20 ships. They've delivered 7. I suspect they'll return with the rest only when they believe we've failed to make these operational, and when they do, they'll find a defenseless Earth ripe for the taking." Quan finished. "Exactly. So we need to be ready with a surprise of our own." 4 months later, the long-range sensors of Lunar Base 1 detected an unknown vessel entering the solar system. It was neither human nor Araxian in design. Configuration unknown, reported the sensor operator. But it's big, very big. The vessel was a kilometer-long construct of what appeared to be black crystal, its surface faceted like a massive gemstone. It slowed as it approached Mars' orbit, then came to a complete stop. "Are they transmitting?" General Okafor asked, his weathered face creased with concern. "No, sir." "Wait, yes. We're receiving a signal." The holographic display at the center of the command center flickered, then resolved into the image of a tall, slender being. Its skin was the color of deep space, with points of light that seemed to move beneath the surface like stars. 4 glowing eyes regarded them with an unnerving intelligence. "Humans of Earth." The being spoke, its voice melodic yet somehow discordant. "I am Sentinel Vax Moro of the Void Hunters. We have tracked an Araxian signature to your world." General Okafor stepped forward. "I am General Okafor of the United Earth Defense Force. The Araxians are our trading partners." The alien's eyes dimmed slightly, what might have been their equivalent of narrowing in suspicion. "The Araxians do not trade. They infiltrate. They weaken. They conquer. They have done this to 17 worlds before yours." A cold silence fell over the command center. "They provided us with ships," Vega said, stepping into view. "Warships, which do not function," Vax Moro stated. It wasn't a question. "How did you know?" Okafor demanded. "Because this is their method. They offer protection in the form of defective technology. When you fail to operate it correctly, they return with their fully functional fleet to save you from some manufactured threat. The price of this salvation is your complete surrender." Vega and Okafor exchanged glances. "And who are the Void Hunters?" Vega asked. "We are the survivors of worlds the Araxians have stripped bare. We are the hunters of those who prey upon emerging species. And we have come to warn you. The Araxian fleet approaches. They will arrive within 30 of your days, expecting to find you helpless." "And what do you propose?" Okafor's voice was cautious. "Alliance. Together we can." "General," a lieutenant interrupted. "We're detecting multiple FTL signatures at the edge of the system. Araxian configurations." Vax Moro's starry skin pulsed with what might have been alarm. "They are early. They must have detected our presence." The alien's 4 eyes fixed on the humans. "You must decide quickly. Will you stand with us against them?" General Okafor straightened his shoulders. "Sentinel Vax Moro, we appreciate your warning, but Earth will determine its own course of action." He turned to Commander Vega. "Elise, it's time to see if Dr. Sharma's improvements work as advertised. Prepare the Phoenix for launch." The Phoenix, formerly the Araxian vessel designated Stellar Defender 1, now gleamed in Earth's orbital shipyard. Its hull had been reinforced with human-designed armor plating. What had once been empty weapon ports now housed hybrid weapon systems that combined Araxian principles with human innovation. Commander Vega sat in the captain's chair on the bridge, surrounded by a crew of Earth's finest officers and specialists. Dr. Sharma herself manned the engineering station, her fingers dancing across controls of her own design. "All systems online," First Officer Quan reported. "Reactor operating at 120% of Araxian specifications. Weapon systems charged and ready," the tactical officer added. Vega nodded. "Take us out, Helm." Standard approach vector. The Phoenix moved smoothly away from Earth, accelerating with a grace that belied its massive size. 5 other retrofitted ships followed in formation, not the full 20 they had been promised, but 6 ships that actually worked was better than 20 floating husks. As they approached Mars' orbit, they saw the Void Hunter vessel engaged with 3 Araxian cruisers. The black crystal ship moved with incredible agility, evading most of the Araxian fire, but it was clearly outnumbered. "Open a channel to the Araxian vessels," Vega ordered. The communications officer worked his console. "Channel open. Araxian vessels, this is Commander Elise Vega of the Earth Defense Ship Phoenix. You are engaged in unauthorized combat in Earth-controlled space. Stand down immediately." There was a pause before a response came. The holographic display showed an Araxian commander, his compound eyes glittering with what might have been surprise. "Human vessel, this is Commander Zithrak. We are pursuing a known terrorist entity. This does not concern your species. Return to your orbit." "I'm afraid I can't do that, Commander. You're in our solar system, so this very much concerns us." The Araxians' mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation, according to their limited xenobiology data. "Your vessel, how are you operating it? Our records indicated your species would require at least 5 years to understand our technology." Vega allowed herself a small smile. "We're quick learners." Just then, one of the Araxian cruisers landed a direct hit on the Void Hunter ship. The black crystal vessel's propulsion system flickered. "Phoenix, this is Sentinel Vax Moro," came the strained voice of the Void Hunter. "My vessel is damaged. I cannot maintain combat status." Vega made her decision. "Tactical, target the lead Araxian vessel." Warning shot across their bow. Firing. The hybrid weapon system discharged, a beam of concentrated energy that blazed past the Araxian ship, missing it by less than 100 meters. The energy output was nearly double what the Araxians would have expected from their own weapons. "Commander Zithrak," Vega said, her voice level. "That was a demonstration. The next one won't miss. Withdraw your vessels from this system immediately." The Araxian commander's compound eyes fixed on Vega. "This is not over, human. The Conclave will hear of this interference." "We're counting on it," Vega replied. "In fact, please deliver a message for us. The next time you try to cheat someone, make sure they're not smarter than you." The Araxian vessels disengaged from the Void Hunter ship and retreated, jumping to FTL as soon as they cleared Mars orbit. "The Void Hunter vessel is hailing us," the communications officer reported. "Put them through." Sentinel Vax Moro appeared on the display, the lights beneath his dark skin pulsing weakly. "Commander Vega, I am surprised. You modified the Araxian technology." "We improved it," Vega corrected. "Impossible. No species has ever been able to reverse engineer Araxian sabotage so quickly." Dr. Sharma stepped forward. "That's because the Araxians made a fundamental mistake. They assumed we would try to make their technology work as designed. Instead, we asked, how could it work better?" Vax Moro was silent for a moment. "I require repairs, and I believe we have much to discuss." As the Phoenix maneuvered alongside the damaged Void Hunter vessel, Vega couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. The Araxians had tried to con humanity, to leave Earth defenseless before returning to conquer. Instead, they'd given humans exactly the tools needed to fight back. Humanity's counterstrike. 6 months after the encounter with the Araxian cruisers, Earth's orbital shipyards hummed with activity. What had begun with 6 retrofitted ships had expanded to a fleet of 15 vessels, each one improved beyond their original Araxian specifications. The Phoenix, as the flagship, had undergone 2 additional rounds of upgrades, incorporating both human innovations and technology shared by their new allies, the Void Hunters. Commander Elise Vega stood in the newly constructed war room of the United Earth Defense Headquarters, surrounded by holographic displays showing fleet positions and intelligence reports. Sentinel Vax Moro towered beside her, the stars beneath his dark skin shifting in patterns that Vega had learned indicated deep thought. "The Araxian Conclave has mobilized their main battle fleet," the Void Hunter reported. 32 capital ships, plus support vessels. They will reach your system in 7 days. General Okafor studied the projected course. Can they really commit so many resources just because we embarrassed a few of their commanders? This is no longer about your resistance, Vax Moro explained. Your success threatens their entire strategy of expansion. If word spreads that a newly spacefaring race not only identified their sabotage, but improved upon their technology, other worlds might rebel. Dr. Sharma, who had been analyzing the Void Hunter's sensor data, looked up from her display. They're bringing more than we can handle, even with our improvements. Perhaps not, Vaxmoro said. My people have been observing Araxian fleet movements. They are committing almost their entire naval force to this operation, leaving their core worlds lightly defended. Vega caught the implication immediately. You're suggesting we attack them, rather than defend Earth. The aliens' four eyes blinked in sequence. The strategy is sound. While their fleet approaches your system, we strike at their homeworld. Not to destroy, but to demonstrate capability. A show of force, Okafor mused. Risky. All war is risk, Vaxmoro responded. But the Araxians respect only power. They must be shown that humanity is not prey. Vega studied the star charts. Even with our enhanced drives, it would take our fleet at least 12 days to reach Araxian space. By then, their fleet would have reached Earth. Not if they are delayed, Vaxmoro said. The remnants of my fleet can harass their approach, forcing them to reduce speed or split their forces, and sacrifice themselves in the process, Vega noted quietly. The Void Hunter's skin darkened. We have pursued vengeance against the Araxians for generations. Some ends are worth any cost. Silence fell over the war room as the humans considered the plan. Finally, General Okafor turned to Vega. Commander, prepare the fleet. You'll take our 10 best ships for the strike operation. The remaining 5 will stay to defend Earth, along with our orbital platforms. Vega nodded sharply. Sir, request permission to bring Dr. Sharma on the mission. If we encounter any unexpected Araxian technology, her expertise will be invaluable. Granted. Okafor looked at each person in the room in turn. This is humanity's first interstellar military operation. Make it count. The Phoenix led the Earth strike fleet through the swirling blue tunnel of hyperspace, its enhanced engines pushing the dimensional boundaries further than the Araxians had ever designed them to go. On the bridge, Commander Vega reviewed the final approach plan while Dr. Sharma monitored the drive systems. Exiting hyperspace in 30 seconds, the navigation officer announced. Vega straightened in her command chair. All ships, battle stations, weapons hot but shields prioritized. The blue tunnel collapsed around them, stars streaking back into fixed points as the fleet returned to normal space. Before them lay Arax Prime, a massive ringed planet surrounded by orbital structures. The planet's night side was aglow with the lights of a highly developed civilization. Minimal orbital defenses detected, reported Lieutenant Quan from Tactical, just as Sentinel Vaxmoro predicted. Their home fleet is gone. Any sign they've detected us? Vega asked. Not yet. We're still outside their standard sensor range. Vega nodded. Perfect. Commence Phase 1. 3 of the smaller ships broke formation, accelerating toward the planet's outermost moon, where long-range scans had identified the Conclave's primary communications hub. Approaching target came the voice of Captain Diaz from the lead ship. No resistance yet. Deploying packages. On Vega's tactical display, she watched as the Earth ships released dozens of small objects that quickly disappeared from sensors. Stealth communications disruptors designed by Earth engineers based on Araxian principles. Within minutes, the lights on the communications hub began to flicker and go dark. Communications hub is offline, Quan reported. Estimate 80% of their system-wide communications are down. Now they know someone's here, Vega said. Phase 2. All ships advance on the primary orbital stations. Disable, don't destroy. The Earth fleet accelerated toward Arax Prime, finally triggering the planetary defense sensors. Alarm signals rippled across the Araxian communication bands that remained functional. They're scrambling what defensive ships they have, Quan reported. 5. No, 7 vessels. Older models. Nothing our fleet can't handle. They're hailing us, the communications officer announced with surprise. Put it through. The main display flickered to life, showing an Araxian adorned with elaborate ceremonial armor, clearly a high-ranking official. His compound eyes widened visibly at the sight of a human in command. This is High Chancellor Vex Chutrik of the Araxian Conclave. Identify yourselves immediately. Vega stood, meeting the alien's gaze directly. "I am Commander Elise Vega of the Earth Defense Force. Perhaps you recognize these ships. You sold them to us. We've made some improvements." The Araxian's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Impossible. The technology was sabotage. We fixed it." Vega's voice hardened. "And now we've come to discuss the terms of our relationship going forward." "This is an act of war," the High Chancellor sputtered. "Our battle fleet will reduce your world to ash for this transgression. Your battle fleet is currently being led on a merry chase by our allies, the Void Hunters." Vega allowed herself a small smile, and even if they turned around now, they'd arrive to find their homeworld under our guns. The Araxian's compound eyes fixed on Vega, calculating. "What do you want, human? First, you will recall your fleet from Earth space immediately. Second, you will acknowledge humanity's sovereignty and right to self-determination. Third, you will provide complete, functional schematics for all technology sold to Earth as compensation for your attempted deception. Or..." Vega nodded to Quan, who pressed a sequence on his console. One of the Earth ships fired a precision shot at an unoccupied orbital platform. The hybrid weapon, part Araxian, part human innovation, lanced through the structure's shields as if they weren't there, slicing the platform in half. "That was one of our smaller weapons," Vega said calmly. "Would you like to see what our flagship can do?" The High Chancellor was silent for a long moment, his alien features unreadable to human eyes. Finally, he spoke. "The Conclave will consider your terms." "You have 1 hour," Vega replied. "After that, we start removing orbital infrastructure, permanently." The transmission cut off. Dr. Sharma moved to stand beside Vega. "Do you think they'll agree?" "They don't have much choice," Vega replied. "Their fleet is too far away to help, and we've demonstrated we can hit them where it hurts." "Commander," Quan interrupted urgently. "New contacts emerging from hyperspace." Vega's heart sank. Had they miscalculated? Was there another Araxian fleet? "Identify," she ordered. Quan worked his console, then looked up with surprise. "They're Void Hunter vessels, 17 of them, led by Sentinel Vax Moro's ship." The communication system activated again, this time showing the starry darkness of Vax Moro's face. "Commander Vega, we have successfully delayed the Araxian fleet. They have divided their forces, half returning to defend their homeworld, half continuing toward Earth. Half is still more than we can handle in direct combat," Vega said. "Perhaps, but now they must negotiate, knowing their homeworld is threatened." The Void Hunter's eyes glowed brighter. "You have accomplished what 17 species before you could not. You have forced the Araxians to the table as equals." 2 days later, in the Grand Council chamber of the Araxian Conclave, Commander Vega sat across from High Chancellor Vex Chitrick. The massive chamber had been designed to intimidate visitors, with towering ceilings and the representatives of 30 Araxian worlds looking down from elevated positions. But the humans did not appear intimidated. Vega, flanked by Dr. Sharma and Lieutenant Quan, sat straight-backed and confident. Sentinel Vax Moro stood nearby, representing the Void Hunter's interests. "The terms are acceptable," High Chancellor Vex Chitrick announced, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into flat, emotionless English. "The Araxian Conclave recognizes Earth's sovereignty and will recall our fleet from your territory." "And the technology transfers?" Vega pressed, the High Chancellor's compound eyes fixed on her. "Complete schematics will be provided for all systems sold to Earth, as originally promised." Dr. Sharma leaned forward. "We'll need verification, of course. I'd like my team to inspect the schematics before we consider this matter close." A ripple of clicking. What the humans had learned was the Araxian equivalent of murmuring, spread through the chamber. "Agreed," the High Chancellor said finally. "Though I warn you, many of our systems may be complex for your understanding." Dr. Sharma smiled thinly. "I think you'll find we're quick studies." "There is one additional matter," Vega said. "The Void Hunters. The chamber erupted in angry clicks and hisses. The High Chancellor raised his upper limbs for silence. "The Void Hunters are terrorists and outcasts," he said firmly. "Their worlds were conquered legitimately after they violated Conclave trade agreements. Yet they seem to have legitimate grievances," Vega countered. "And they've proven to be valuable allies to Earth." "What are you proposing, Commander?" "A Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Representatives from Earth, the Araxian Conclave, and the Void Hunters will investigate the claims of all displaced peoples. Where wrongdoing is found, reparations will be made." "Impossible," the High Chancellor sputtered. "The Conclave does not recognize the Void Hunters as a legitimate political entity." "Then perhaps you prefer we continue our military demonstration." Vega's voice remained calm, but her eyes were steel. "Our fleet remains in orbit around your homeworld, Chancellor." Silence fell over the chamber. Sentinel Vax Morrow stepped forward, his starry skin pulsing with emotion. "For generations, my people have sought only vengeance. Today, we will accept justice instead." The High Chancellor's compound eyes shifted between the human and the Void Hunter. Finally, he dipped his head in what humans had learned was a gesture of reluctant acceptance. "The Commission will be established," he conceded. "But the Conclave will not be dictated to by lesser species." "Not dictated to," Vega corrected. "Engaged with as equals. That's all we ever wanted." She stood, signaling the end of the negotiation. "We look forward to a new era of genuine cooperation, Chancellor. One built on honesty rather than deception." 1 year later, Commander, now Admiral, Elise Vega stood on the observation deck of Earth's largest orbital shipyard. Before her stretched the newest addition to humanity's fleet, the Cooperation, a massive vessel built with a fusion of human innovation, Araxian technology, and Void Hunter principles. "Impressive, isn't it?" Dr. Sharma said, joining her at the viewport. "The first truly tri-species design in known space, and more powerful than anything the Araxians ever fielded." Vega added with satisfaction. "That's why it works," came the resonant voice of Sentinel Vax Morrow as he entered the observation deck, having to duck slightly under the human-sized doorframe. "The Araxians respect power above all else. In demonstrating your capabilities, you earned their respect in a way no amount of diplomacy could have achieved." Vega nodded thoughtfully. "They sold us rusted warships, thinking we were too primitive to recognize their deception. Now their representatives sit on joint councils with the very people they once considered prey. And their worlds are safer for it," the Void Hunter added. 3 Cooperation-class vessels now patrol the borders of known space, defending all our peoples from whatever threats may lurk in the darkness beyond. A lieutenant approached, offering Vega a data tablet. "Admiral, the final inspection reports for the Cooperation. All systems are green. She's ready for her shakedown cruise." Vega accepted the tablet, scanning the reports quickly. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Inform the crew we depart in 6 hours." As the officer departed, Dr. Sharma turned to Vega. "Where do we go from here, Admiral?" "With this technology, we could expand human presence throughout the galaxy." "Eventually," Vega agreed. "But first, we establish ourselves as a power to be respected, not exploited. The Araxians taught us a valuable lesson. In space, the strong prosper while the knave perish. A harsh truth," Vax Morrow observed. "But a necessary one," Vega replied, her eyes fixed on the gleaming ship before them. A vessel born from deception, but transformed by human ingenuity into something greater than its creators had ever imagined. They tried to sell us their garbage. Instead, they gave us the stars.